I'm going to begin, DJ, just by asking me, is it quite helpful coming into an established franchise when you kind of know tonally what is kind of expected of these movies, what fans like, or can that actually sometimes be a little bit kind of suffocating sometimes to you as a filmmaker?
Well, I think you know, for me, it was interesting because coming off the first two films, they have an attitude and sort of what I call a swag. So I wanted to maintain that, but then I think I didn't feel suffocated because I felt like it's been so long, and that how do I make this movie? If you're just starting here, how can I make this movie a place where a first-time viewer can start, and then maybe if you want to go back. So I felt like it didn't suffocate me, but it gave me a start into what the movie could be and what the characters should be like.
So when it came to kind of explaining to parents, friends, family that you're making a XXx movie, I bet there must have been a few raised eyebrows.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was definitely interesting because Nicky Yam, who has a small role in the movie and did some music for me, he's fantastic. He had told his dad, like, Dad, I'm going to be in a movie, I'm in XXx, and his dad was like, you can't be a porn star, you're a rock star already. So yeah, you got to be careful with that stuff.
I think you can be a rock star and a porn star.
Yeah, why not? That's right.
I mean, one of the sort of concepts, I mean, Vin Diesel it's been such a passion project for this, for him in this movie, and I mean, he kind of transcends the role of an actor. He seems to be so heavily invested. But how much of an input did he have? I mean, when it came to conversations about the character in the film, was he always really heavily involved?
Oh, he was definitely very heavily involved, because I think that for Vin, and again, you learn this as you're making it, I think Xander is the closest character to who Vin really is. He's exciting, he's flamboyant, he's a daredevil, he likes to have fun, and I think Vin embraces that in Xander. So no, he was very, very involved from the day that we started working on the script to the day that we turned in the final edit.
I've spoken to a few of the actors today that have all said that they felt a lot of their character was similar to themselves. And did you give a lot of the actors the freedom to kind of implement their own sensibilities onto the role?
Yeah, I did. I really did, because I have such an amazing, diverse cast that you wanted to take the best of Donnie Yen. And so in order to, as a director, to do service to all these great characters, I really allowed them to bring a lot of themselves into these characters, because there's only so much screen time you can have, and so it helped them all elevate. And that was my goal, and I'm glad to hear that they said that.
We sort of just touched on the point before, this incredible international kind of cast has been assembled. Did it feel like making a Hollywood movie? Because I mean, watching it, it almost felt like an international movie, almost like it's its own kind of genre, because it almost feels like it can't be defined to any one region, which is quite a good thing, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. It didn't feel like a Hollywood movie because of that. I felt like it felt like the Hollywood movie had evolved into this global cinema zone, and it also then made me realize, like, well, that's kind of the world, that's the America we're living in now anyway. It's so diverse, and you have such interesting cultures and such interesting people, and also really strong women, that it just sort of it didn't feel like a Hollywood movie. And even the whole experience here, even taking the movie here to London, and we were in Mexico with the movie, it just feels so much bigger than this little Hollywood microcosm that we're stuck in.
And let's talk about Neymar for a moment,
yeah.
Because I mean, it was incredible to get him on board. How did you manage to convince one of the greatest footballers of all time to be involved in this project?
Was really, it wasn't hard to convince him. I had written a letter to his management team, and they had said to me, "Oh, it'd be great. It's just not possible. It's not possible." Then they did finally check with Neymar, and he's like, "I want to be in that movie." So we worked it out, and the script had called for, I think, Usain Bolt or like another athlete, but to me, Neymar is XXx. He's one of the world's greatest footballers. He is incredible with his skills. He's good looking, and his attitude, his rebellious attitude, just felt like XXx. And so we worked it out on a Sunday to get Sam Jackson to work on an off day, because that was the only time we can get Neymar to come in. And man, did we have a lot of fun.
Because I think that's sort of the opening scene. You're watching Samuel L. Jackson and Neymar sit down eating kind of like sort of Oriental cuisine. But it's just this kind of like quite surreal like entry into this world. But do you think that gave you a lot of sort of license as a filmmaker to kind of go wherever you wanted with this film?
Well, I felt like if we could sort of have Sam and Neymar, and we had a little fun with that, because even if you look at the Neymar's character card, we said like thinks he's being recruited for the Avengers. Yeah. So once you did that, and we were fooling around in the editing room, once we did that, you're right. It gives you the allowance, and it lets the audience know we're here to have fun. We're not taking ourselves too seriously. And it's going to be a fun ride.
And at last I read about G.I. Joe 3. I'm not sure if you're able to comment on this, but you were in talks to the director. I was wondering if there's been any movement on that front, or if it's still kind of in the pipeline.
It's still a little bit in the pipeline. I had met with Dwayne. I met with The Rock before I started this movie, and just had started some of the discussions and what the movie could be or possibly be. So we'll see where it happens, but it's a possibility.
Yeah. Do you feel kind of quite well equipped now going into a kind of franchise? This must have been quite a nice, I don't know, not learning curve, but to kind of come into a franchise that is very much in existence, has a huge cult following, and kind of put your own spin on it. I mean, I guess that must give you a bit of confidence to then do that again, sort of going forward.
Yeah, I think so. And I think what happens is you go, okay, that's cool. And then how, I don't want to say like reinvent, but how can I sort of reinvigorate the franchise and give it something? What's the reason for me to do it? But yeah, there's a little bit of a comfort zone because there's sort of a built-in fan base. But then the challenge is like, what can you do to help elevate it and push it further into even make it better?
And just my final question, I think the one that is definitely happening is Selling Time, by the sound of things.
Well, Selling Time, no, Selling Time is an interesting movie. I'm not sure how far we've got, but I was working on Will Smith and his company on that. But I think the next thing I've got going is a film called God Is a Bullet, which is a Boston train novel. Very cool. It's kind of taken me back. The first movie I did was a movie called The Salton Sea, and it's kind of taken me back into that sort of dramatic thriller territory with a little bit of action. It's got two really strong characters in an insane storyline. So I think I'm going to do that next.
Does that get started quite soon?
Yeah, we're trying to get that going and start prepping that in February.
Nice. Yeah. Brilliant. We'll look forward to it.
All right, good. Thank you.
Thanks so much for your time.
All right, good. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey